No, I'm sure you are. Tell us, I remember you lost a tremendous amount of weight a few years ago, and you've managed to keep it off. What's your secret?
Well, actually, it's a very good memory. Yeah, I dropped almost 60 pounds.
Wow.
I definite change of life. Definite change of life. The secret to keeping it off is how expensive it is to buy new clothes.
Yep.
You know what? That is actually good motivation. Yeah.
Yeah.
You start putting the weight back on, you have to buy a lot more
in
clothes
fact,
again.
that's what he's been saying, actually.
Yeah, oh my goodness, I had to give away everything. You know, when you work from home, you don't wear suits. And I,
Oh my
you know,
gosh,
and,
it's
you know, and the fact is that I go to meetings with one blazer and two pair of slacks, and so I don't put suits on at meetings either. So I decided we're downsizing and we have to move, and had a closet full of suits. And I said, let me try them on. Well, they're 20-year-old suits, and there was 20 pounds ago. So, wow.
It is funny. When I was taking the weight off, I was getting rid of the clothes as I was doing it. All the charities loved me. But that was my way of making sure I didn't go backwards.
Right.
For sure.
Oh
For
my
sure,
gosh.
absolutely.
So Jay, you know, we've been talking you up today, talking about GPN and stuff, and talking about that expression, what gets measured gets done. So, and I haven't gone too far into detail about what the product actually does.
Yeah, but before we start, what does GPN stand for again?
Well, GPN is the Gateway Professional Network.
Okay, Gateway Professional Network. Good.
Right. Gateway.
And so,
Gateway. And for us, when we launched the company, the goal was to create a gateway of professionals, create a professional network where we can help each other.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So maybe you could give our viewers and listeners an oversight of what the company actually does for them.
That'd be great, because it's certainly a much different company today than when we started, because we became two companies. So it's been a very exciting journey over the last 14 years.
Great. So why don't we get into it? So, I've been showing the Edge Pro up on the screen here all morning.
Thank you. I saw you. I did catch one of them. I do appreciate it. You did great.
Yeah. So but I'd love to actually hear from the horse's mouth how this actually works, because I know that it's really infiltrated a bunch of practices around the country. I remember when you were first starting, and it's just kind of amazing the growth of the product.
Yeah, it's definitely, and it's actually the only true fully HIPAA compliant analytics system in the industry today. But we definitely opened the door to an area of the industry that nobody was addressing at the time. And of course, it's now everybody wants to address it in some way, shape, or form. So, but I'm very proud of being the team that actually broke through an area that was so critical to everybody's success, and that is, hey, what's going on in your business for real?
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So how does it work? So it snaps into any EHR that you have and just it draws the data out of it?
Yes, basically we upload the data each evening, so it has refresh data every morning, and everything is done in an extreme HIPAA compliant way. We actually have a HIPAA compliant attorney on retainer. It's amazing what we've done in technology. We've even built an artificial intelligence that has an auto mapping and validation system. We have literally created our own technologies, and so we upload the information. But I've always made it very clear to folks: never intended Edge now it's called Edge Pro. Never intended Edge Pro to be a reporting system. Nobody needed another reporting system. Every practice management system has a reporting system. It was intended to teach people how to run their business. And so we organized the information in such a way as to teach people what they should be looking at, why they need to look at it, and what to do about it. And the what to do about it became obviously critical. We all look at so much information in our businesses, and everybody says, okay, I know that, but I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's why we became successful with it. And, with over 6,000 unique installations across the United States today, we are the biggest analytics company.
Wow.
Just remarkable. Ben, did you tell them the good news about what you're offering at the meeting?
Oh, right. Yeah, I've been touting your discounts all day today. So free installation for Edge for Edge Pro if you want to go for it, in the 3-month trial. So I keep telling people, I'm like, why wouldn't you do it?
That's great. Yeah, I did actually hear you say it, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, because I mean, to me, if I don't know why someone wouldn't try it. It seems like if you have an EHR, you have the data there. Just give it a shot and see what it does.
Well, let me take the devil's advocate. Why they might not want to try it is, number one, fear of technology, like me.
Yeah.
And two, how much time is involved in doing this? How much time would the OD have to spend?
Well, that's a great question. The installation takes no time. We do all the work. There's no setup time for you at all. Our technology is, in the early days, a decade ago, it was very time consuming. I had a room of 20 people back then. All they used to do was mapping and validating. Now I have one person that just oversees a program, because of how wonderful technology is. So it really requires almost no time. And the only time you'll spend is learning how to drive the car versus learning how to put the engine together. And so you'll get behind the wheel of the car and you'll start to say, okay, and start to ask the right questions. What does that number mean? What does that number mean? That's the learning time. But what you're really learning is what you wish you learned when we first got into the business.
Right.
Yep. And
so there's hardly anything to lose.
Yeah. So no, but here's the question though, and this is I think what everyone wants to know. So Jay, this is in 6,000 offices. You have access to an incredible amount of data. What do you think the trends are? What should people be really scared of, worried about? What should keep them up at night? Because you have probably one of the broadest views of anyone now in the entire industry. You can see everything from 100,000 feet.
Oh, that's correct. And not only from 100,000 foot, we actually then can isolate information down to the what I refer to as the blades of grass.
Right.
So we don't just see the trending that's going on both historically and forecasting the future. We could actually drill down and say, why is that trending happening that way? Very much to your question, the influences in the industry are tremendous. There's a lot of great things happening. I know many people fear the consolidations and vertical integrations and the private equity groups and all the minutia of how the world spins today. But all that being said, those folks who are in tune with why their business is the way it is and what they can do about their own business are the ones that are going to really continue to thrive. And what I mean by that is the information that's given to them through this platform is what they need to make the right decisions with. What should they buy? How should they sell? When they're generating a sale, are they really generating profit or are they wasting their time? It brings me back to the days where I had a practice in Texas, took a particular plan that consumed 30% of her book. And I said to her, you need to get rid of this plan. And she goes, I can't. It represents almost a third of my patients. I said, here's what's going to happen. And because the Edge taught me this, here's what's going to happen. Your book's going to lighten up by a third. You're going to freak out because everybody gets scared when the book gets lights. I said, but what's going to happen next is your revenue is going to go down, and that's going to freak you out. But at the end of the month, you're going to have the same amount of profit in the bank. She goes, well, I don't understand that. I said, well, either you trust me or you don't.
Right.
So she trusted me. We got rid of the plan. She freaked out. The book went down. The revenue went down. And at the end of the month, her profit was the same. And what we were able to uncover with the Edge was that this particular patient base that had this particular plan was a big loser in her practice. And it was just, working hard and making no money. And so imagine working a third less than you're working now and making the same exact money. What can you do with that time that's now productive so you can make money? And that's the critical components that needs to be deployed in each business. That's what people need to look for, using their time efficiently and effectively.
It sounds to me, though, like the Edge should come with like a prescription for Valium with it, because when you uncover a lot of this stuff, I'm sure a lot of people are a little bit nervous about making these little leaps.
Well, first of all, I agree with you. I think you might be 100% right. I can't count how many times through the years, and because I lecture and teach and develop workshops and curriculum, I enjoy this so much. How many people have come to me through the years and said, I only wish I had this when I started. I would have made a lot more money and a lot better decisions in the beginning. And yet when I meet new docs, and I still to this day, I open up new practices for docs all the time, and I tell them, this is the type of things you need to know about. And they'll say, well, I don't have time for that now, so maybe in a couple of years when I grow my business, I'll need that. I said, you don't need to make money today. You can wait a few years until you make money.
Yeah. So when you open up a practice cold, what's important for an opening cold practice?
Critical component. Opening up a cold practice, the one single failure, and I do mean incredible failure, that takes place time and time again, is folks figure out what it costs them to open the door, but not how much it's going to cost to keep the door open.
Yep.
And that lack of knowledge as it pertains to cash flow shortage within the first 18 months is where failure and an absurd amount of debt comes into play. And with that debt, when I forecast a business and someone says, hey, I want to open up a door, and we'll talk about location, we'll talk about design and setup. Most people, it's amazing that despite how young these folks are, they're building practices as if they were 60 years ago. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Is that the experience you want when you go to a restaurant? Or why are you copying what your grandfather did?
Right.
So there's still this tendency towards building a practice the wrong way. The allocation of space is wrong. And the allocation of space is so wrong that it's costing them more in labor because the business is set up wrong, that people have to walk around too much. It becomes siloed. But even going to the next step is sitting back and saying, wait a second, if a patient doesn't come in today, how am I going to pay my bills? I still have to pay rent. I still have to pay overhead. I still have to pay payroll. And so that cash flow shortage, nobody's calculating. So I'll sit down with someone and say, listen, how are you making a living? How are you supporting a family? How are you taking care of your kids? What are your costs to live versus, what's your debt load and, obviously what's your loan on this? And let's figure out how much do you need to actually run your business. And if you don't draw an income for the next 18 to 24 months, will you survive? I can't tell you how many times people can't answer that question. And those are the folks that come to me 2 years later and say, I'm failing. Can you help me? And I have no money to pay you.
Right.
So, right. And I feel terrible. I'm literally helping someone right now who had come to me and, really a really nice person. And I just, honestly, I didn't charge him a dime. I felt so bad about what went on and the fact that he didn't get the proper advice that I just jumped in and started helping him for free. And my answer was, somebody's got to do the right thing. Right. And so that's what we're doing with this person right now. We're helping turn around, before he even opens his door, we're helping turn around the business.
That's great.
And he will be successful when we get done. And I believe it's important for those of us in the industry that when you see a wrong, we have an obligation to make it right.
Absolutely. Sure. So on the flip side, what do you advise people that are leaving practice?
I'm sorry?
With the people that are leaving practice, what's important when they're selling?
Well, it's really incredible to understand everybody's personal agenda, their age. If you're in your 40s and looking to sell your practice, you really have to ask yourself, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? Because it's a little bit young. But if you're burnt out and you said, I just don't want to fight the fight, so to speak, anymore, I can understand that. And then you may be looking for a job. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Nobody should boo-hoo that at all. There's no disrespect to anybody. It just wants a job and not have to worry about it. But if someone's, from day one, from the moment you open your practice to the moment you sell it, you have to think about your EBITDA. You have to think about your earnings. Because at the end of the day, that's the value of your practice. And people think about that too late in the game. And they wait till the last year or two to pump up their numbers and make all the right decisions to get a better valuation. So the real question is, why would you wait till the last year or two before you're going to sell your business to run it properly?
Right.
So from my perspective, if you have an exit strategy and you want to know within the next 3, 5, 7 years that you're looking to, sell or collaborate. I'm part of an organization now as I bifurcated my company, and I took my consulting company and joined up with Dr. Binkowitz and folks like Paul Karpecki, and we formed a new entity called Total Eye Care Partners. It's a collaborative shareholder model where you can stay on board not just as an employee, but actually take part in what's going on, which we love that because we love partnerships. In that model, it says, hey, you're not only going to make more money today, you're going to make more money tomorrow. and you get to grow with us, and you get to help us grow as opposed to just being an employee. But if you just want to be an employee, that's okay too. So there's lots of options out there, and I'm going to tell you that they're all good options. There's lots of exit strategies available to folks today.
Right.
We came up with what we felt was another choice. I don't say any of them are bad because they're not. It's what's right for you. What are you looking for? But at the end of the day, ask yourself, what involvement do you want once you get that check? And that has to be a key component. Is the money the most important thing to you? Is giving up all the stress and responsibility important to you? Or is what you're going to do tomorrow important to you? Those are all huge components of making those decisions.
Right.
Right. Absolutely. Good advice.
Good advice indeed. So Jay, I'm going to urge everybody who hasn't, taken a look yet to wander into the GPN booth, take a look at what you guys are doing. And I'm hoping, out of the show, you'll get some more contacts and people coming in and wanting to talk to you. We're going to actually post this interview up on ODwire when all is said and done, after I recover from this show. Whenever that is.
I appreciate that.
And then what I'm hoping is we can get a good conversation going around this interview as well, because I think you're bringing up a lot of important topics, and we see people on the site doing a lot of things wrong. Obviously we're living it. We see people.
I think spending too much time on the site.
Well, yeah, that's not a good thing either. But it's important to know though that you can make it out there. We see a lot of people complaining, feeling hopeless, and the reality is they're not hopeless, right? They have a lot of opportunities. They just need to know where to look.
And that's so important. I really, really want everybody to walk away, if they listen to nothing and if they remember nothing except for this, to walk away and know that the opportunities out there are boundless. They're wonderful opportunities. I know people are very fearful of what's going on because they don't understand all of the new relationships that are coming in and out of the industry, but every one of them are creating new opportunities for everybody. The lifeblood of the industry is still independent optometry, and it may be redefined in some ways, but at the end of the day, nobody should be worried about whether or not there's going to be a doctor around tomorrow.
Right. And that is a good note to end on. So, Jay, thanks so much for being here today, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon online.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you both. I appreciate what you're doing. I think your conference is outstanding, and I look forward to talking to you more in the future.
Great. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye now.
All right.
Yeah, that was informative.
Yes, no, Jay's a great guy, incredibly dynamic, and I think everyone should take a look at the GPN booth.